This is happening right now in Jerusalem. The streets went silent. Shopkeepers stepped outside their ancient doorways. Children stopped playing in the courtyards. Even reporters had no words. And when I tell you why, you'll understand what's truly unfolding. The mainstream media isn't covering this. Satellite feeds mysteriously cut out during the crucial moments. But the truth can't stay hidden forever. You're watching this because something in your spirit recognizes this moment as different. The ancient stones of the old city shimmered under the early morning sun. The dome of the rock glowed gold beneath a clear sky that seemed more vibrant than usual. Synagogues, churches, and mosques all stood in silence beneath that same sky, on the same soil where prophets walked, the same streets that heard the Messiah's footsteps. It began at precisely 3:33 a.m. A soft white light appeared over the Temple Mount, not blinding but gentle, like the glow of a pearl. It expanded slowly until it covered the entire sky over Jerusalem. Then came the voices, thousands of them, speaking in perfect unison, yet each voice was distinctly audible in every language known to humanity. "Look up, children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob," the voices said. "The veil is thinning. The time approaches." An old merchant said, "I've waited my entire life for this." A pilgrim from Australia said, "I felt the heavens touch the earth." A young Israeli soldier removed his helmet and knelt in reverence. This isn't hysteria. This is prophecy in motion. What the prophets saw thousands of years ago is unfolding before our eyes. Zechariah 8:23 tells us, "In those days 10 men from all languages and nations will take firm hold of one Jew by the edge of his robe and say, 'Let us go with you, because we have heard that God is with you.'" And in Acts 2:5-6, "Now there were staying in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. When they heard this sound, a crowd came together in bewilderment, because each one heard their own language being spoken." My friend, can you feel this in your spirit? Do you realize we are witnessing what generations only dreamed of? God is moving the pieces of the end times. The veil between heaven and earth is getting thinner. As dawn broke over Jerusalem, thousands gathered at the Western Wall. Not just Jews, but Christians and Muslims too, all drawn by something they couldn't explain. People prayed, wept, and embraced strangers. The divisions that had defined this city for centuries seemed momentarily forgotten. Now that you know this, what will you do about it? Are you ready for what comes next? What happened today stopped a city, but what's coming will stop the entire world. Today, something impossible appeared over the Temple Mount. People left their work and looked up at the sky. Traffic halted. Phones couldn't capture what the human eye could see. Even skeptics stood in awe. And when I tell you why, you'll understand the magnitude of what we're witnessing. They don't want you to see what's really happening. Social media platforms are mysteriously removing videos. But the truth is spreading through whispers and private messages. You're watching this because God wanted you to see it. The twilight cast long shadows across Jerusalem's limestone walls. The air was unusually still, as if creation itself was holding its breath. This holy city, claimed by 3 faiths, contested for millennia, suddenly unified in collective wonder. For the second consecutive day, at exactly 3:33 a.m., the phenomenon returned, but this time the white light formed patterns, intricate, geometric shapes that scholars later identified as resembling ancient Hebrew symbols. Then came the sound, not thunder, but a harmonic resonance that vibrated through every building in Jerusalem. Thousands ran, not from fear, but because something was calling them. They converged on the Temple Mount from every direction. Jews, Christians, Muslims, tourists, locals, all drawn by an irresistible spiritual magnetism. A Franciscan monk testified, "I've studied scripture for 40 years, but today I understood it with my heart, not just my mind." A Muslim shopkeeper said, "Allah has sent a sign that transcends our divisions." An Orthodox rabbi whispered, "The Messiah's footsteps are near." This isn't coincidence. This is divine choreography. The ancient prophecies are becoming our headlines. Isaiah 2:2-3 declares, "In the last days the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as the highest of the mountains. It will be exalted above the hills, and all nations will stream to it." And in Revelation 7:9, "After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb." Can you sense the spiritual significance? Do you perceive how the cosmic timeline is accelerating? This is the preview of the greatest event in human history. The Israeli government issued a statement urging calm, but no one needed calming. The atmosphere wasn't of panic, but of reverence. Scientists offered theories about atmospheric phenomena and mass hallucination, but their explanations fell flat against the reality of what thousands experienced simultaneously. Are you ready for what comes next? While the world sleeps, God is calling those who are awake. What's unfolding in Jerusalem is just the beginning, the invitation before the arrival. Jerusalem stopped this morning for a reason no one can explain. Businesses closed, schools dismissed their students. Hospital patients reported sudden improvements in their conditions. And when I tell you why, you'll understand why souls across the world are awakening. The global powers are working to contain this information. Internet connections in Jerusalem have been mysteriously unstable. But the truth is spreading through the most ancient network, human witness. You're seeing this because your spirit is attuned to the frequency of truth. The morning dew glistened on the olive trees of Gethsemane. Pilgrim paths that have witnessed thousands of years of devotion now filled with new seekers. The very air seemed charged with expectation, as if the atoms themselves were aware of what was unfolding. On the third day, at 3:33 a.m. precisely, the phenomenon evolved. The white light descended lower, hovering just 30 feet above the Temple Mount. Within its glow, witnesses described seeing what appeared to be figures, not clearly defined, but unmistakably present, like silhouettes behind a curtain. Then came the message, heard not with ears, but within the hearts of all present. A message so profound that people recorded identical words despite speaking different languages. Prepare the way. The time of restoration approaches. Let the divisions fall. A Greek Orthodox priest said, "In 30 years of service, I've never felt the presence of God so tangibly." A secular Israeli journalist admitted, "I came to debunk, but now I can only bear witness." An elderly Palestinian woman smiled through tears, saying, at last, at last." This isn't mass delusion. This is mass revelation. The spiritual realm is intersecting with our physical world in ways foretold by the ancient prophets. Joel 2:28-29 prophesied, "And afterward I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in those days." And in John 16:13, Jesus promised, "But when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into all the truth. He will not speak on his own. He will speak only what he hears, and he will tell you what is yet to come." My friend, are you discerning the season we've entered? Can you feel the quickening in your spirit? The cosmic clock is striking the hour foretold by prophets throughout the ages. Religious leaders from all faiths convened an unprecedented joint service at the Garden Tomb. Theological differences temporarily set aside as they sought to understand the common message they'd all received. Scientists established monitoring stations around Jerusalem, capturing data that defied conventional explanation. What will you do with this knowledge? How will it change your daily walk? What was witnessed in Jerusalem today will soon be witnessed by all, a prelude to the greatest reunion in cosmic history. The whole world is beginning to witness what started in Jerusalem. Weather patterns are shifting globally. Animals are behaving in unprecedented ways. Children across continents are having identical dreams. And when I tell you why, you'll understand that this is more than a local phenomenon. Major media outlets are beginning to report unexplained atmospheric disturbances, but avoid connecting them to Jerusalem. Yet the truth is becoming impossible to contain. You're part of the awakening generation that will witness what saints and prophets long to see. The sunset painted Jerusalem in hues of amber and gold. The ancient city walls seemed to pulse with their own inner light. From the vantage point of the Mount of Olives, pilgrims watched in awe as the city below them became the epicenter of global attention. On the fourth day, at precisely 3:33 a.m., the phenomenon expanded. The white light over Jerusalem suddenly shot beams toward the heavens, visible from hundreds of miles away. Simultaneously, people around the world reported seeing unusual celestial patterns, stars forming geometric shapes, the moon taking on an unusual luminescence. In Rome, thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square, pointing upward. In Mecca, pilgrims circling the Kaaba stopped to witness strange lights in the sky. At the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, rabbis read ancient texts describing heavenly signs as the crowd swelled. A meteorologist from the World Weather Organization said, "These phenomena defy all known atmospheric physics." A Native American elder from Arizona testified, "Our ancestors spoke of a time when the sky would speak to all nations at once. That time has come. This isn't isolated coincidence. This is cosmic convergence. The heavens themselves are declaring what the ancient prophets foretold." Psalm 19:1-4 proclaims, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world." And in Luke 21:25-26, Jesus predicted, "There will be signs in the sun, moon and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken." My friend, do you recognize these celestial signatures? Can you read what's being written across the canvas of creation? Heaven is using every available medium to announce the coming transformation. Astronomical observatories worldwide redirected their telescopes toward Jerusalem. NASA called an emergency meeting of their top scientists. The United Nations Security Council convened to discuss what many were now calling the Jerusalem phenomenon. Are your eyes open to these signs? Are you attuned to the language of the heavens? What began over one city is now visible from every continent. Creation itself is participating in the great announcement. This is changing lives right now in Jerusalem. People who were enemies are embracing. Those who were blind claim to see. The skeptical are falling to their knees. And when I tell you why, you'll understand the transformation that's beginning. Major news networks are sending reporters, but their equipment mysteriously malfunctions within Jerusalem's city limits. But the truth doesn't need electronic amplification to be heard. You're hearing this because your heart was prepared for such a time as this. The afternoon sun bathed the western wall in golden light. Thousands of prayer notes tucked between ancient stones seemed to glow with their own inner light. This city of conflict, this crossroads of faith, suddenly became the epicenter of inexplicable peace. On the fifth day, at 3:33 a.m., the white light appeared, but now it sent down beams that touched individuals throughout the city. Those touched described feeling not a physical sensation, but a profound inner healing of trauma, hatred, unforgiveness, fear. A Jewish mother and a Palestinian father, both who had lost children to the conflict, found themselves embracing and weeping together beneath the light. I saw through his eyes. the woman said. "I felt her pain as my own," the man testified. Their story repeated hundreds of times across the city as the light moved from person to person. A renowned atheist professor from Hebrew University said, "I've built my career on rational skepticism, but what happened to me defies my framework of understanding. I experienced love as an actual force, as real as gravity. This isn't emotional manipulation. This is spiritual transfiguration." The prophecies speak not just of signs, but of transformation. Ezekiel 36:26 promised, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh." And 2 Corinthians 3:18 explains, "And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit." Can you perceive what this means for humanity? Do you grasp how close we are to the fulfillment of all things? This is not just an event to witness, but an invitation to participate in cosmic restoration. The Israeli military reported that soldiers stationed at checkpoints spontaneously began serving water and food to those waiting to cross. Hospitals noted a 70% decrease in emergency admissions. Crime in the old city dropped to zero for the first time in recorded history. Are you prepared for this transformation in your own life? Are your vessels empty enough to be filled with what heaven is pouring out? What began in Jerusalem is spreading outward like ripples in a pond. Soon the whole world will feel the touch of divine restoration. Not everyone welcomes what's happening in Jerusalem. Powerful institutions are mobilizing to control the narrative. Skeptics are becoming increasingly aggressive in their denials. Some religious leaders warn of deception, and when I tell you why, you'll understand the spiritual battle that's unfolding. Government agencies have established a perimeter around Jerusalem's old city. Official statements describe the events as mass psychogenic illness, but the truth cannot be quarantined. You're among those who can discern spiritual reality beneath material explanations. Storm clouds gathered over the Mount of Olives, unusual for this season. Yet within the darkening sky, the luminous phenomenon remained visible, undimmed by the atmospheric disturbance. The contrast between light and darkness over this ancient city seemed to visualize the spiritual conflict intensifying with each passing hour. On the sixth day, at 3:33 a.m., something unexpected occurred. As the white light appeared, other manifestations emerged at the city's perimeter, shadowy forms that witnesses described as dense and foreboding. Those who saw them reported feelings of confusion, fear, and sudden doubt about what they had previously experienced. Religious authorities who had initially embraced the phenomena began issuing statements of caution. "We must test the spirits," said one evangelical leader. A senior rabbi warned, "Not all that glows is divine." Secular authorities increased their presence, establishing checkpoints and restricting access to the Temple Mount. A renowned psychiatrist appeared on international news programs describing mass hysteria with religious overtones. Military helicopters circled the phenomenon, attempting to disperse it with what appeared to be some kind of technological interference. A young woman who had been documenting the event said, "The air suddenly felt heavy, like something was trying to suffocate the light." A tour guide who had witnessed all 6 days noted, "It's as if two realities are competing for the same space." This isn't unexpected. This is prophesied resistance. The light has always faced opposition when breaking into darkness. John 1:5 declares, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." And Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." My friend, can you discern the spiritual dynamics at play? Do you recognize how resistance often intensifies just before breakthrough? The greatest opposition comes when the greatest revelation is imminent. Social media became flooded with conflicting narratives. Conspiracy theories multiplied. Religious communities divided between those embracing and those rejecting the phenomena. Yet amid the confusion, thousands continued to report profound personal transformations that defied skeptical explanations. Will you stand firm when doubt surrounds you? Will you keep your spiritual eyes clear when confusion abounds? The resistance we're witnessing is not just against an event, but against what this event heralds, the approaching end of one age and the beginning of another. This is your moment to respond to what's happening in Jerusalem. The ancient prophets wrote of this day. The holy texts across faiths hinted at this convergence. History itself has been moving toward this threshold. And when I tell you why, you'll understand why your next decision matters eternally. The powers that control our information are scrambling to provide explanations. Terms like mass hysteria and atmospheric anomaly fill their reports. But the truth resonates at a frequency that transcends censorship. You're hearing this invitation because your name is known in realms beyond our own. The midnight stars shone with unusual clarity over Jerusalem's sacred skyline. The Mount of Olives, where countless prayers have been offered throughout millennia, now watched over a city bathed in expectation. This slice of earth, so often soaked in tears and blood, now gleamed with hope. On this seventh day, the pattern culminated. At 3:33 a.m., the white light appeared once more, but instead of remaining over the Temple Mount, it expanded, covering the entire city like a canopy. And then, witnesses reported something extraordinary. The light formed what appeared to be an enormous doorway hovering in the air. No one passed through it physically, but those who looked upon it described receiving a personal message, an invitation unique to their life journey. Each message, though individual, contained a common thread. Will you prepare the way? A hardened war correspondent broke down weeping on live television, unable to maintain professional detachment. I've covered conflicts across the world, he said, but today I was covered by peace. A renowned physicist admitted, our instruments detect the phenomena, but science cannot explain its meaning. Some questions transcend our current paradigms. This isn't random spiritual excitement. This is divine invitation. The prophecies always pointed to a moment of cosmic decision. Deuteronomy 30:19 presents the choice. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. And in Revelation 3:20, the invitation continues. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me. My friend, do you recognize the gravity of this moment? Can you feel the gentle pressure of divine invitation against your heart? The veil between worlds is at its thinnest in 2,000 years. Religious tourism to Jerusalem has increased tenfold. Airlines report fully booked flights. Governments are holding emergency sessions to discuss the implications. Scientists from various disciplines have established a unified research center at the Hebrew University to document and study the phenomena. What will your response be to this cosmic invitation? Will you prepare the way in your own heart and life? What's happening in Jerusalem is both an ending and a beginning, the final chapter of one age and the first page of another. Until next time, stay ready, stay faithful. Maranatha.